Garry's Mod mimics the features and functionalities of Half-Life 2 fairly well, as is usually the case when you copy and paste code and assets from one game to another. However, for various reasons, there are some differences. For this video, I have tested all of the facts from my Half-Life 2 fact series to see if they still work in Gmod. How many of them work? Most. It would be faster for me to describe the ones that don't work the same. This first section contains the things that do work but are not quite the same. If you get too close to this wall, you will get pushed to the side. This is to keep you from being crushed between the wall and the train cars. You can only take advantage of this once though. Here's what happens if you try it again. Half-Life 2 and Gmod do different things when you die. In Half-Life 2, the camera follows the player entity, but in Gmod it follows the player ragdoll, and these are considered completely separate objects. If you use a debug command to track where the player is, you can see that the player entity does not get launched up in Gmod. The player ragdoll can also get launched, but it's pretty inconsistent. Valve knew that this scene could break if something was placed on top of the buggy. In Gmod, the crane can react in one additional way. If you put an unbreakable, frozen object on top of the buggy, the crane will just retry forever. This behavior exists in Half-Life 2 as well, but I didn't talk about it because there was no way to demonstrate it. Eventually, the crane did this. Most guns can be reloaded faster by first looking at a friendly NPC or going into any cutscene that automatically lowers your weapon. Apparently in Gmod, looking at friendly NPCs doesn't cause your gun to lower. This might be because you can still kill them. The only other way to get your gun to lower is to go into one of the friendly encounter areas, which renders this trick useless. Since your difficulty setting affects damage amounts, SMGs will have less ammo on easy and more ammo on hard. The only difference here is that Gmod doesn't have difficulties, so the guns will always act like you're on normal. If you gain health after dying, the game will partly think that you've come back to life. Again, the camera follows the ragdoll instead of the player, so you need to use a debug command in order to see that this happens. When you do that, you'll realize that you don't actually have to die in any specific circumstance. You can do this after dying in any way at all. I don't know what you would do with this information, but if that cat wasn't already out of the bag, it is now. When you launch an explosive object from the gravity gun, it will always explode on whatever it hits, even if it touches it gently. This is fixed for both the gravity gun and your hands, but not the physics gun. There are two very powerful harpoons hidden in the chapter Sand Traps. Everything about these harpoons is the same, except that they will remain fully solid even after being stuck into a wall. These free-floating energy balls are weird. They are not quite the same, but are still arguably weird. The setup takes a long time to explain, but you end up with Alex typing in a car. Alex's ability to get into the car seems to be broken in general. I did get her to teleport into the car while standing, which is the only time that I've ever actually seen her in the car in Gmod. Usually when people think about cheat codes in Half-Life 2, they think about console commands, but actually there are proper cheat codes. You can see all of these cheat codes in a file called cheatcodes.txt. The text file for the cheats is there, but Gmod never had an Xbox release. In theory, they would work though. The next section of things do not work at all. On this one level, crossbow shots can go through Alex. Weapons and pickups can freeze crossbow bolts. If you fire a rocket and enter a vehicle before the rocket explodes, Gordon will never put the RPG away. If you have an active rocket, you cannot enter a vehicle. Clicking on the logo in the menu will make it disappear. In this spot, there are two invisible walls that only NPCs can collide with. You can put turrets on these walls. Turrets do not collide with this type of wall in Gmod. In one of the recent Half-Life 2 updates, the FOV slider was changed so that it can go up to 110. It also lets you see through walls. The highest value on the slider in Gmod is only 100, and there are no clipping issues with it. And now for some honorable mentions. In some background maps, you can see your own player model. This railing can be ridden on as if it were a writable object from Half-Life 1. Surprisingly, the HL1 HUD element shows up as well. Getting pulled out of the airboat by a barnacle doesn't count as a proper exit, and weird things can begin happening. This is all true, except there are no graphical bugs. For the last two, I am simply surprised that they work. If you get off a ladder and then get into a vehicle before you finish getting off the ladder, the game will in some capacity not consider you to have actually entered the vehicle. You won't be able to activate any of the map's triggers. It's almost as if time is frozen. You can't even activate the trigger that would send you to the next map. When you exit the vehicle, you will teleport back to the ladder. If you stand on a hunter's projectile and try to jump, it will give you a huge speed boost.